this is Bella. We're gonna demo how to teach down, on cue, and how we move from a lure with a treat all the way to just the verbal cue, which we're gonna use down.
Step 1. You're going to lure your dog into a down by bringing the treat to their nose, follow it in a straight line down, and then mark and reward the moment they lay down. Let's take a look at what that looks like.
So first, I'm gonna take my tasty treat. Good. And I might give her a few more for staying in that duration since she's offering it. And then I'm gonna say, okay, find it, to reset. I'm gonna lure her back down. And you can do this from a sit as well. Good. You missed one. Okay, find it.
Now that your dog is following the food lure, it's time to fade that food lure. Start moving your hand toward the floor exactly like before, but this time keep your palm empty. As they get the hang of it, start shrinking that hand signal. Make your movement smaller and further away from the ground until that big sweeping hand motion becomes a simple, clear hand signal. Let's take a look at what that looks like.
I'm gonna do the same thing without holding a treat. Bella's, come here. Okay, sit. Good girl. You're so good girl. Yeah. Find it. Once again, no treat in my hand. I'm just gonna slowly start decreasing that lure. Good. Good girl. Good girl. Okay. Find it. No treat in my hand. Oh, girl. Good job. Good job.
Know that this next step is completely optional. It's adding in the verbal cue. If you're ready to add in the word, timing is everything. Start by saying your verbal cue, down. Count a 1-2 pause in your head to let them process the sound, and then follow up with your hand signal. This teaches the dog that the word predicts the gesture. As they get faster, keep increasing that pause and shrinking the hand signal until the word is all they need to lay down. Let's take a look at what that looks like.
Now that she knows it a little bit better, I'm gonna add the verbal cue. It's important when you add the verbal cue, you say the new cue, which is down, and then wait a few moments so they notice, and then, oh, I'm gonna capture that down. Just because she was doing it. We always want to say the new cue first, like we're expecting them to know it. So I would say down. When she doesn't do the down because she doesn't know it yet, then I'm going to lure her down. We don't want to do it at the same time because what happens is something called blocking, where they're so focused on the treat or your hand that potentially has a treat that they're not really paying attention to what you're saying. And so we always want to pause for a brief moment before then either luring them or prompting them into that down. Down. She's like, huh? And then I lure her. Good! And then we're gonna keep pairing those until she knows just the word down. Find it. Down. Oh, there's a distraction. It's okay. Good! Good girl! That's really smart. That's really smart girls, huh? We want to reward them extra the first time they do it just on verbal cue.
Now for the final test. Remember that standing up or changing your body positioning can change the picture for your dog. So now we have to help them bridge that gap by doing what us trainers call generalizing. So the first time you change the context, like going from sitting to standing, you want to help your dogs out a little bit. So in this next section, you'll see me stand up straight, give my verbal cue, give them a few seconds to think, And if they don't end up going into a down, no big deal. Just give them a quick hand lure to show them what you mean. We're fading that help until they can do it all on their own in a variety of contexts.
So the next thing to remember is our dogs are really good at looking at context. So Bella probably thinks while the person's sitting down with her, that's when we do down, right? So now that I'm standing, it changes the context a little bit. So we might have to help her out a little bit more. Down. Might give her a little clue. Good job. So that's a big mistake because people assume that just because they just did it, they should understand. But really, from their point of view, I was sitting down. I've changed the context a lot by standing up. Okay, find it. So we can reset. I want to try again and see if she can do it with just the verbal cue. Hi. Down. Good. That's a really good girl. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Down. Good. So yeah, and of course, we want to help our dogs generalize as much as we can. So the next step would be practice down while I'm sitting in a chair, while I am not facing her. So if she's by my side and I say down, that's a lot different because now she's looking at the back of me. And so teaching down is kind of the first step, but then to actually make it applicable in real life, we have to practice in all types of contexts and just know whenever you change the context, you want to help them out a little bit if they're struggling and they're not sure exactly what you want them to do.
Once you've practiced in your training sessions, you want to practice out of context as well, randomly throughout the day, so that they don't learn that down is associated only with official training sessions when you have your treat pouch on and you're in that training mode.
So we want to keep practicing. The next time, like the next session, I'm not going to start right away with the verbal cue. I want to warm up first and then go back to helping her pair that verbal cue with the behavior of down.